This episode is sponsored by Squarespace. I used Squarespace to build both Basics with Babish and BingingWithBabish.com. On the sites, you'll find recipes, equipment lists, other news, and updates. All beautifully designed, if I do say so myself. Get 10% off your first Squarespace order by visiting squarespace.com/Babish. Today we're tasting every kind of frozen cheese pizza. Well, as many as we could get our hands on. I'm gonna be rating them on flavor, texture, and appearance. Kendall's gonna be keeping track of my scores, and you, the viewer, get to decide if I did a good job. We are baking all of the pizzas according to the package directions. We're gonna ignore any of our chefy instincts that tell us to do things a certain way. We're gonna do exactly what the package says so that we get objective results as the factory intended. Pizza numero uno is Tony's cheese, which now features 25% more pizza. And this is the kind of pizza that I grew up eating, so this is probably gonna send me back in time, but nostalgia has no bearing in this rating system. We need to be objective. All right, let's take a look at the bottom. Bottom's pretty pale. This is not an artisanal pizza, this is a frozen pizza, and that's what happens sometimes. Tastes exactly how I remember it, like a hot Lunchable. They say there's no such thing as bad sex or bad pizza, and this is both bad sex and bad pizza. It's not very good. Appearance, I'm gonna give it an even 4 because it resembles pizza. Texture is gonna dip even a little lower because it's not only not crispy or crunchy at all, it's rather chewy. I'm gonna knock down to a 3.1. Flavor, if we're going off nostalgia, everything's getting a 10 out of 10. But if I have to be objective and not let my childhood memories cloud my judgment, the flavor's getting a 2.9. Sorry, Tony's. You might be 25% more pizza, but that's about all you are. I wouldn't have sex with this pizza. We have the first entrant in the vac seal bag category, Table 87, coal oven pizza. This is as seen on Shark Tank. What a delight. There is one little piece of wrinkly basil, which is gonna suffer visually from being both frozen and heated. Basil wilts and discolors very quickly, but I want it in my mouth. Here we go. Okay. And maybe I just got basil on the brain, but that flavor was really a standout. Look at the bottom too. Bottom's got really nice color on it. Looks like it came out of a coal-fired oven, per the packaging's suggestions. In appearance, first off, it looks pretty great. The crust is like too big, like it's too wide. Like over here, this is just insane. Just because of the ridiculous amount of crust, I'm gonna have to ding it a little bit for that and give it like a 7.4. The texture, this is where it falls short of like a Neapolitan pie, which is what it's trying to be. It's very tender. Doesn't have much of a chew to it. Doesn't have enough like gluten development. So for texture, I'm gonna have to give it an even 7. The sauce is killer. The cheese is good. But the sauce is really the standout. Like I really enjoy the sauce. I'm gonna try a little finger. So it's getting an 8.3 for flavor. Flavor's really there. Now we have maybe the most insane and stoniest entry into the pizza tasting lexicon today, which is DiGiorno's Croissant Crust pizza. Something that literally nobody was asking for. We also want to recognize that this pizza has pepperoni on it. We wanted to try this one, they only had it in pepperoni. I'll pick off the pepperoni on my slice, but just ignore the pepperoni, pretend it's not there. I think it looks pretty good. It looks like they put a pizza on a giant Pillsbury Grand, which actually sounds very, very nice, so I'm not complaining. Okay, I've heard this is like a fan favorite, so I'm scared that I'm like gonna get lit up for not being super into DiGiorno Croissant Crust pizza, but it really does taste like a Pillsbury Grand. I'd be stunned if this wasn't the exact same formula as Pillsbury Grand. Appearance, sheer novelty gets it a couple points, but also the cheese is melted nice and evenly. I'm gonna give it a 6. I'm gonna give it a 6 because it looks like pizza that also is a biscuit, and that's like, whoa, cool. Texture, pretty floppy, pretty thick, pretty bready. In spite of its novel concept, I'm gonna give it a 2.8 because it's very thick. So flavor is where things really fall off because it's really just a novelty because like the crust doesn't taste good, it tastes fake. Overall flavor, it's not something I want to keep eating. So that's gotta be a 2.8, right? Sorry, DiGiorno, it is delivery. Next up, this is Rao's Brick Oven Crust 5 cheese pizza. You know, it looks pretty close to the one in the box. It's definitely darker. Again, we bake these according to the specifications. Ooh, it smells good. We're stepping things up. The crust, this is the first crunchy crust, like nice, actually, crunchy crust bottom that I've gotten. The sauce is rather orangey. It tastes exactly like the Rao's bottled sauce, which tastes like every other bottled sauce. So it tastes like bottled sauce, which is okay. And tastes like they sprinkled a little bit of dried oregano on there, which is great. It gives like the, you know, pizza joint vibe. Okay, I just got a slice at my favorite pizza place, and here I am in New York, oregano. So the crust, it's the first crust that tastes like real. It doesn't taste like a whole bunch of preservatives and vegetable oil. So, starting with appearance, I am going to give it a 6.5. It looks more like pizza than any of the pizzas we've tried so far. Again, a big step up in texture, still not like awesome. Let's give this a 7. And flavor, and this is a real mixed bag, because the sauce I'm not a huge fan of, but the cheese and the oregano are really top notch, and the crust does taste good. I would probably put the flavor of this at a 7.2. It's a pretty decent piece of za. Next up, the DiGiorno 5 cheese stuffed crust pizza. This is another insane creation from DiGiorno. It's got some startling stats and facts about it. 2.5 feet of cheese, usually cheese not measured in feet. DiGiorno found a way. Let's eat it. Again, pretty pale and bready on the bottom. That just affected me in a very real way. So this tastes almost exactly like the other DiGiorno, despite having 4 more cheeses than it did. I don't know. So yeah, the crust is still shitty. It gets shockingly bready toward the center. I don't know what happened there, maybe a manufacturing error or something, but I think the cheddar makes it look terrible. I'm glad I can't taste it, but it makes it look worse. So appearance is getting a 3. It's getting a 3.2. Texture, it is soft, it is bready. The only saving grace is the stuffed crust, so 3.5 for texture. Flavor, likewise, nothing's doing it for me. There's no flavor to the stuffed crust. It's just nice to eat because it's cheese inside of bread. It's a little better than the croissant one because the croissant one is so much bread and it tastes so processed. So the flavor for this one is getting a meager increase to 3.3. The best part about it, frankly, is the stuffed crust, which is the best part of any stuffed crust pizza, to be fair. But this one, like, I would eat just the stuffed crust and not eat any other part of it if I were alone. Nobody were watching, judging me on the internet. Okay, this one got a little messed up, but that's entirely my fault. So here we have Newman's Own thin and crispy crust 4 cheese pizza. Those cheeses include mozzarella, cheddar, Parmesan, and Asiago. Cheddar, what is up with putting cheddar on the pizza? So, it looks pretty much like the one in the box. If anything, it looks better than the one in the box. We got a little extra browning on there. Very thin, indeed. Bottom looking good. Feels pretty good too. It's dry. It's not soggy. It's good. The crust tastes a little processed like the other ones. The sauce is good. There's not too much of it. The cheese is quite good. I do taste the cheese. There is like diversity in the flavor of the cheese. That was cool. I'd say a slightly more solid entrant in terms of the world of frozen za. Appearance, this guy's getting a 6.5. It looks good. There's no crust, so that kind of hurts it. Actually, you know, I'm gonna bump it up to a 7. I'm gonna keep being more generous as I go. Texture, definitely a step up because it is advertised as being thin and crispy, and guess what? That's what it's gonna do. I'm gonna give it a 7 for texture. Flavor, the crust isn't that great, but again, it's hardly there. The sauce is not awesome, but it's not terrible either. And the cheese, I actually do taste like some flavor variances in the cheese. So with that in mind, I think that it has a hard 6.9. Nice. So here we have California Pizza Kitchen's 4-cheese pizza, a thin and crispy style pizza. I grew up going to California Pizza Kitchen. I'm just grateful that this doesn't have like broccoli and ravioli and like my receipt on it. Like they load so much crazy shit on their pizza. But what they did do was the 4 cheeses are 2 types of mozzarella. Doesn't say what type, but then they go batshit by adding fontina and hickory smoked Gouda. This doesn't make any sense to my brain, but I'll try it. Oh. Smoked Gouda, no. Smoked Gouda on a pizza. That's all it tastes like, first off. I feel like I'm at the cheese board at a Super Bowl party. Like, this isn't pizza. I can't taste the tomato sauce at all. I can't taste anything but the Gouda. Appearance, I'm gonna give it a 5.6. Texture is not so great. What really undoes it is the crust. I can see why I called it powdery. It does have, it's got like flour on it. Not crazy about the texture. I'm gonna give it a 3.8. And now for flavor, and this is really where things go terribly wrong. Really, the only thing you taste when you take a proper bite of this is Gouda. On a metric of normal pizza, this is getting a 2. This is getting a 1.9. I'm not even gonna give it a 2. Next up, Trader Joe's, or as they so fancifully like to refer to themselves, Trader Giotto's Pizza Margherita. And this, first off, looks precisely like the one in the bag. It's the most accurate box to pie translation that we've seen so far today. Crust has a nice chew to it. If we're going for Neapolitan style, you want it to have a good chew. You want to have to kind of fight it a little bit. The sauce is also the most natural tasting sauce I've had so far today. It tastes like tomatoes. It's got that nice, bright, acidic tomato flavor, which is again what you want in Neapolitan style pizza. And the cheese is really solid. So this is rather a tasty pie. So for appearance, I'm gonna give it an 8.1, because it's very pretty. Texture, got a good chew to it. Got to kind of tug it a little bit. It's not bready or crumbly or cakey at all, like a lot of the other ones have been. I can think of very few bad things to say, but so maybe actually the same as the appearance. Let's do 8.1 for texture. Boy, Trader Giotto's, you really are figuring your stuff out. Flavor, the sauce tastes really good, the cheese tastes really good, the crust tastes solid. I think it's gonna get a even 8. You know, it's not perfect. It still tastes like, you know, something that was reheated in the oven, but way better in Neapolitan pizza out of the freezer than I ever would have imagined possible. Next up, folks, we have Red Baron Classic Crust 4-cheese pizza, mozzarella, cheddar again, and you can really tell with this one, provolone and Parmesan. Okay, so the pizza is a classic crust, which is described as not too thick, not too thin, with just the right amount of crunch. I'll be the judge of that. This is not off to a great start. The cheese, as you might be able to see, is separating in a most unseemly way. There's also an obscene amount of sauce on this pizza. Look at the amount of sauce peeking through from underneath the cheese. Lots and lots of sauce. A little less sauce on this one, so maybe we can give it more of a fair shake. Let's give it a try. This pizza should be in the encyclopedia as the visual entry to frozen pizza. This is about as standard and classic a frozen pizza as what is imaginable. Tastes more like preservatives than sauce, cheese, or bread. Not a great entry here. Let's start with appearance. Tony's, I gave a 4.0 for appearance, and frankly, that's entirely unfair. It's a comparable looking pizza to this, and this does not look good. I'd like to do a little revisionist history and officially rescind my score of 4.0 to Tony's. It was my first rating of the day. My metrics were all out of whack, and I've learned a lot. I've grown a lot, and I think it deserves a 3. And so too does this. Texture, not doing it any favors. It is crumbly, it's short. The cheese is not like melted flatly and gooey. I'm gonna put the texture of this at a 2.6. Flavor also nothing good. I don't like the sauce, there's too much of it. It tastes like melted tomato ice cream. And the cheese is flavorless, the crust tastes fake. I'm gonna give it a 2.3 for flavor. I think we have found the bottom of the barrel. Next up, famously vegetarian Amy's pizza. This does not quite resemble the pizza on the package. Doesn't look terrible. It's definitely overbaked, but there's some good bubblage on the crust. I like that. That's the first that we've seen all day. That's pretty cool. Let's give it a try. Wow, hot. It definitely tastes different. It's all sauce. I don't taste anything else but the sauce. I don't know, it's like canned spaghetti, like SpaghettiOs sauce, like Chef Boyardee tomato sauce almost. It's very different. I'm gonna try the crust. Oh wow. The crust has a positively delightful flavor. It tastes like almost like fresh baked bread. Appearance. Again, a little overbaked. Had we not overbaked it, it would still not look awesome, but I do like the bubbles on the crust. So gonna give the appearance a 4.7. The texture is decent. Cheese is kind of sticky. The crust has a really nice kind of bready feel to it, but then again, for pizza, it's not very good. So texture, not great, gonna be down in the 3.9 region. And then flavor, this is where it kind of falls apart. The cheese is flavorless. The sauce tastes like tomato sauce, but like a very specific kind that doesn't belong on pizza. But the crust does taste good. It tastes like fresh baked bread. I'm going to give it a 4.1 for flavor. That's Amy's. Ellio's cheese pizza. Brad has remarked that it looks exactly like the pizza from when he was in school. My school pizza growing up was about like twice as thick as this. It was just like bread that they melted cheese on. But this looks like pretty standard issue school pizza. That's the vibe that I'm getting off here. Imitation pizza product. This was made by machines and excreted and frozen and sold to you for pennies on the dime. It's too much sauce, it's too sweet. Cheese is better than some iterations that we've had today. Crust is non-existent, kind of bad. So for appearance, I'll give it a 3.5. It looks like if AI, like if you asked it to, make me a pizza. Texture, it is very short, it's very tender. The cheese is kind of gummy a little bit. There's a little bit too much sauce. It's really not much better than the Red Baron in terms of textures. The cheese is slightly better, so why don't we give it a 2.9 for texture. And flavor, this tastes exactly the same as every bargain bin frozen pizza I've ever had. It'll get the job done. There's not as much sauce as there was on the Red Baron, and it's not as like horrible as the Red Baron sauce was. So I'm gonna put this at a 2.8 for flavor. Okay, Ellio's. There's one place that you belong, and that's fondly in my memories, and nowhere else. So now, we are faced with another giant name in the frozen pizza world, and that is Tombstone. Once again, as classic a frozen pizza as one can imagine, the provider of the sauce that came in Lunchables pizza. Like, remember it came with like a little squeeze tube of sauce? I'm like 99% sure that was Tombstone. Very similar visually to the Red Baron pizza, but with one glaring exception, that the cheese is pretty well melted. It's melted flatly, and it's not like, these chunks of shreds that are just staring you in the face. Like, what, you want me to melt? What do you think I am, cheese? Wow. These all taste the same. The Tombstone, the Red Baron, the Tonys, they all taste exactly the same. Too tender, you got no pull, you got no chew. But giving me great cheese stretches, that I have to award some points for in the first category, which is appearance. I'm wholly opposed to yellow cheddar on pizza, so that's offensive looking to me. Well, Ellio's at least didn't have freaking cheddar on it, so I'm gonna dock this down to a 3.4. Oh yeah, cheese pull. Cheese pull buys, I would do 3.4, but the cheese pull buys you an extra 0.5 points, so we're gonna knock that up to a 3.9. The texture is probably the worst of the day so far. The crust has the worst texture, but the cheese is good, so I'm gonna put this at a 3.1. This flavor is not good. It tastes almost identical to several other pizzas that we've had today, so it's going to get an identical score, 2.8. Totino's. You love them for their pizza rolls, but will you love them for their pizzas? This has got to be the worst looking pizza of the day. It looks like a healing wound or something. There's a festering about it. Wow, that is unappealing looking. I don't know, am I overreacting? Because I feel like that looks awful. Let's see, here we go. And I really like the way it tastes. Just from a nostalgia standpoint, they're clearly using the same ingredients as the pizza rolls, so this tastes just like a Totino's pizza roll. It just brings joy to my heart. It's super sweet. I forgot how sweet Totino's pizza rolls are. There's not a hint of acidity to this. It's got crunch to it. It doesn't burst out the side. Like, I'm overjoyed by the way this tastes. Like, it really brings me back in time. It makes me feel like I'm a little kid again. It makes me feel like I'm sleeping over at Sawyer's house. His mom just brought down a platter of these fuckers. Sorry for my language. I'm just excited. Here's the other thing. It does not taste like pizza. This doesn't taste at all like pizza. It tastes like Totino's pizza rolls, which don't really taste like pizza. They taste good, but I don't know how to describe them. I can't do it now. So first up, appearance. Looks like hell. It looks like actual hell. It looks awful. Unless I were really hungry and didn't know what it tasted like, I would just be like, you know, I'll just eat tomorrow. Simply because it doesn't make me want to like puke looking at it, I'm gonna give it a 1.5 for appearance. It's a heinous thing to have to look at. Texture. Texture is not the worst thing in the world. It's got a little bit of a chew to it. It's not super short or crumbly. It's very cracker-like, it's pretty dry, but it's very thin, which in a frozen pizza can be very advantageous. The cheese does glue itself to your teeth. I've tried 4 bites now, and each time it just spot welds itself to the front of my teeth. So texture, I'm gonna give it a 3.5. Stop doing these round numbers. 3.6, just to keep it interesting. And flavor, and this is where it gets really crazy because it doesn't taste like pizza, but I love it. So I think what I have to do is average the two. I have to average my nostalgia and the reality of the situation. And my nostalgia says this tastes like a 9. And the reality of the situation says this tastes like a 3. I'm gonna give it a 5.7 because it's, I like it a lot. And I said I wouldn't let it affect my judgment, but here I am, openly letting it affect my judgment. Next, we have Roberta's. I have a personal connection to Roberta's. I live in Brooklyn, I'm kidding. My first apartment in Brooklyn when I moved here 14 years ago was across the street from Roberta's. So I couldn't afford to eat there at the time, so I would just smell it. And then I would go home to my bed bugs. So this looks a lot like the pizza from Roberta's. It looks like, you know, an artisanal Neapolitan pie. It's got great char, bubbles on it, all that stuff. Sauce is surprisingly orange. Did not see that coming. Yeah, really light and thin. It really does resemble the pizza from Roberta's. Wow. Wow. Like, I never would have guessed that this came out of a freezer. I would have guessed that this was a pie that was fired not 10 minutes ago. Let's start with appearance. It looks fantastic. It looks like, you know, an artisanally made pizza, Neapolitan pizza, which is pretty incredible. That being said, the sauce is orangey, which is weird. Like, this looks like electric orange. That's kind of bizarre to me. So that's gonna ding it slightly, but for appearance, you cannot do much better. I'm gonna give it a 9.2. Texture's fantastic. It's got a great chew to it. The crust is like, it's got like big bubbles of air in it, just like the real Neapolitan pizza. It's the closest thing you're ever gonna get to a Neapolitan pizza out of the freezer aisle. So texture is also going to get top marks at a 9.4. And the flavor, likewise, is fantastic. Roberta's cold, ferments their pizza dough for several days. I don't know if they do that with the frozen one, but it sure tastes like they do because the pizza dough it's got a really nice present but neutral flavor. The cheese, the mozz, tastes like cream. It tastes like dairy. Like it really tastes like mozzarella. And the sauce tastes fantastic. It's that very raw, bright, kind of fresh tomato sauce that I like the most. The flavor is probably the best thing about it. It's gonna have to get a 9.6. That's pretty incredible. This is kind of a technological marvel. Well, folks, we did it. We tasted 14 different frozen pizzas, and surprise, surprise, Roberta's won. I'm annoyed with myself, but there's no denying that it's the best pizza that we tried today. I'm wholly impressed by Roberta's for just the technology. Like, it does not taste like a frozen pizza. It's ready in 3 minutes, and it's just incredible. Like it holds up incredibly well. It doesn't taste like preservatives. It tastes fresh and natural. And like it just came out of a wood-fired oven. It's amazing. Thanks again to Squarespace for sponsoring today's episode. They've been a great partner in supporting the Babish culinary universe and bringing my websites to life. From websites to online stores to domains and analytics, Squarespace is the all-in-one platform for you to build your online presence. They also have SEO tools so that your site is getting found and searched by more people more often. If you want to try it for yourself, you can start your free trial today by visiting squarespace.com/Babish to get 10% off your first purchase.